Kirk's brother. And you have to forgive me, I'm very ill right now. I'm having allergy problems, and it seems to be a genetic thing in the family. When I was younger, I had severe asthma problems, and I was in the hospital when all the other kids were playing, and I was in an oxygen tent. But I've gotten a little bit better through the years, and we have better medications, but the allergies have been a constant problem, so you'll have to forgive me if it's a little rough with me right now. Now, Kirk would have wanted you to all know that his death, his demise, wasn't just him going off the rails. He had a serious illness. We weren't really fully aware of it. We knew he had a B12 deficiency, and he always had a slight problem with depression. It was always off in the corner, but it was there. We didn't understand it and didn't always pay attention to it. But I found out later on that a person with B12, they have this terrible problem with depression. But if you drink, if you have alcohol, that will actually make your B12 levels plummet. So a regular person might be a little depressed with the alcohol if they drink. My brother had something, it was like a ticking time bomb. And it was eventually going to take him out sooner or later because he had the problem with the alcoholism thing, but he had the B12 problem. And he was fighting it, I think, his entire life. And when you take a look at what he accomplished, he still managed to accomplish quite a bit. And he would only say to you now that, he's very sorry that he can't be with you. But this thing was very strong, and it's not something easily beaten. I'm not even sure if he could have beaten it. But I just want you to know that this wasn't just something where one day he lost it. He was fighting a very, very severe and dangerous illness from what I've been reading. I only found this out a couple days ago. Okay, as his elder brother, I have many memories of Kirk as we grew up together. I remember my mother first brought him home as a baby, and she put him down in front of me on this red, white, and orange capel rug. It's sort of a folksy thing, and I remember looking at him saying, this is what a brother is. It was like my first experience having a brother, and I was like, wow, I wonder what this is going to be like. We played many practical jokes on babysitters. We had a pipe burst, I remember, up in my parents' bedroom closet, and it left a little hole that went down into this unfinished, creepy, I guess it was like a washroom, complete with spider webs, and everything was unfinished because my father never could quite get to that room and finish it off. And so what we used to do, when the babysitter didn't let us watch Benny Hill one night, we got a bunch of batteries together. I think they're the real big kind. And we found where the hole was, and we roll the battery, find the hole, we put them down, and we try and roll them, and we'd see if we could aim it and get it to go down into the hole, and then make a noise in the back room right behind where the babysitter was watching television. I remember Kirk, I was trying to get him to line them up and shoot them down, and he was rolling them, and they just kept missing and missing and missing. And finally I said, all right, I'm going to have to do this for you. So I rolled one, I missed, rolled another one, missed again. I said, man. And I finally got the last one, and we sank that baby. And I was like, I wonder if we got her. So we quickly ran down the hallway, and we peered downstairs just around the corner where you could just barely see. And we saw the baby get up, and she's like, whoa, what was that? And it was like, oh yeah, we got her. And so that was one of the pranks we occasionally played on the babysitters. Of course, one day we took it too far, and our dad nailed every one of us. And he's like, all right, boys. He's like, cut it out, because they were running out of babysitters. We had another one, too, where we had a babysitter, and I don't know if we were watching Cowboys and Indians or something, but we got the idea, we'll tie up the babysitter. And she kind of went along with it at first. Then she realized, whoa, she's like, we really got going, we almost got her. And I don't think she wanted to meet my mother and father completely tied up in a chair. So she managed to break free at the last second, but yeah, I think that was the last time we had her as a babysitter, so we had to find one last babysitter. So that's kind of where some of the love of practical jokes kind of came from. I'm afraid some of that is my fault. All right. Now, let's see. My brother's love of comic books. I used to have to go for shots for asthma, and so we would go visit the doctor, and sort of as payment for all the suffering of the shot and having to go through all that, they'd take me to the comic book store. It was a Hallmark store in Burnt Hills, New York, and they had a little newsstand there in the back. And I remember going with Kirk the first time to see the comic books after visiting the doctor. And I remember I'm reading mine, and then Kirk is like, he's got his little blankie, he's got his thumb, he's sucking his thumb, and he was making some really angry, sounds with that stupid thing in his mouth while I'm reading my comic book and kind of ignoring him. And then I was like, oh, I'm thinking, this is my brother here. Hey, he wants to see these things. So I put my comic book down, I hoisted him up, and I let him go through a lot of the comic books, and he was trying to make a decision. And I'm like, kid, you better hurry up because my arms are giving way here. You're kind of heavy. So he finally picked out a Batman comic book. I still remember it. In fact, I bought the issue recently. I was going to send it to him. And it had a clock on it and sort of a shattered image. And there were a bunch of other ones that he really enjoyed later on. But I always remember I was the guy that introduced him to comic books and made sure that he got to see him. And you should have just seen, he was so happy. He's like looking at all the colors and everything and he's flipping through it. And he's like, wow. And I kind of kept him away from the Dracula one because that one was pretty scary. But that's kind of where that started. All right. I remember another thing. Bible Memory Association Camp. We had to memorize Bible verses together. And so there are a lot of times Kirk and I, sometimes we're trying to get this stuff done at the last minute. We're trying to remember them. And most of the time we did pretty good. And we got a little reward. We got to, I think, get a sticker, sometimes a piece of candy. And later on we got to go to Bible Memory Camp. And they had a lot of cool stuff, shuffleboard. We had bicycle paddle boats, and we had volleyball, which was always fun. And I think he got to go to one or two of those. But he really came alive when we were at Sacandaga Bible Camp. And there was, I kept getting lost at that camp because everybody else had gotten the tour and I hadn't. So I had no clue where the path went, what was actually the camp, what wasn't, and I kept getting lost. And my brother's first storytelling experience was we were all sitting around a campfire. And this is actually important because we spent a lot of times at campfires telling stories. And they asked someone to give their Christian testimony. Now, my brother had no clue what that meant. He figured, hey, it's game on, it's story time. So he proceeded to tell everybody how I got lost my first day of camp, and how the second time both he and I tried to take a detour because we had to get to this workshop they had for us, where we had a workbook for Bible verses. And we were going to be late again, and he's like, man, we can't be late again, because they think I'm trying to duck out on them, but I keep getting lost. I have no clue. So we took a shortcut, and as fate would have it, nope, we weren't going to be on time again. A dog chased both of us up a tree, and we were stuck there for about 30 to 45 minutes. We could not get down.